This will be our July 8th crop report, the third crop report for the beans. This is, we're on staying on this is a 2.5 acre patch, and that's actually what we call it to the co-op. These are 2-3 Mershman beans, Stein bean. They really aren't bad. The problem is this is a glorified food plot. The beans don't look too bad. They were a hayfield, a grass hayfield last year. We always had trouble getting sprayed and done. I'll turn the camera around and get a little closer. There's a few bare spots, and every place there's a bare spot, we find the same thing. If you find a bare spot, there's always holes. So, not exactly sure what those are, but we have a 30-row planter. This one, we had beans in there, so we just kept going back and forth and trying to make 15-inch rows as best I could with no guidance. And you can see where nothing's eating them, they do pretty well. But we're standing in the worst spot in the entire field, which I really can't tell you why that is. But most of this field is eating pretty good, and there's places where it's really nice. I don't know if those are gophers, ground squirrels, squinties, or something, but there's definitely something in here that's eating it. So I don't know if an anhydrous bar will kill them next year, or if we're gonna have to get some other tillage or some other form of control. But you can see, look at these. You know, they eat them right off. There's a lot of beans missing, and you see this on the edges of the fields too. Like I said, it's only 2.5 acres. We actually it's about a quarter mile from 2 other fields. We always say this is the field that you have to let them eat, so your others don't get eaten so bad. All right, here we have 18 acres of conventional tillage beans. These are the same beans that we just came from, those two, and I can't remember if they're 2-3 or 2-4. They're Apache is what they call them, glyphosate beans. On the other side of those trees, there's a ditch. There's almost 40-foot elevation change, and you come back up to that little patch, we call it. That's what separates these two. It's not as far straight line as you think, but when you walk it, you feel like you've went 2 miles. Now these beans look pretty good, but again, you can see there's a lot of deer pressure in this field. You can see the stems, how they're just gone there. Something's been eating them off. But where they're not beat up by the animals, they're darn near close to closing. But you know, you can come down in here and there's deer hoof prints there. This consistently, we've seen 2 females and 4 fawns. They have twins, they're usually well fed here. And last night we took the 4-wheeler, we were checking there just 100 yards away. A very large buck, which I thought for July 8th is kind of unusual because I've seen some smaller ones, but it was already large. And then this field is bordered by some CRP, so we've had critter problems on the first couple of rows, but that's normal. That is normal. So field looks pretty good. These are planted May 8th. Those ones over there were planted real late. I want to say May 24th, but I got to check. But these are planted May 8th. Okay, here's the other field. Now, that house there, just on the other side of that was a field we were at. That was conventional tilled. These are the exact same beans, no tilled, into green rye, sprayed the next day. Cereal rye. These are canopied, or close to canopied. As you get to my truck, this is usually the worst spot, this little hill here. But you can see there's some varying color. I think the sun's really helping out. It's a little wet in this ravine. You can see the slight yellow, but then you can see the rye patch that was missed on the burn down. But this was no-till, and there's not much left of that rye, and it was tall. If you remember seeing the picture, there's a lot of rye here. So, field's almost closed in. They're just starting to flower. Nice little white flower, and the little bit of bug checking I did when I was walking in there, I didn't see any. So far so good. I know that can change fast. Again, these are no-tilled, planted May 8th, and a standing rye. Okay, now there's one field I'm not going to take you by. It looks just like the patch. It's 16 acres of grass hay. Well, it was grass hay. We planted beans in it. They're a 2-9 bean instead of a 2-3 or 4, but they look just the same. Better rows. A few areas where there's nothing, and there's those little holes in the ground. So we're going to check on, see what we can do about that next year. These are not my beans on each side of this path. We have an easement, and then we usually use this as a little campsite because I'm an hour away from the farm, so we come here and we stay and get our work done, then we go back. So these are a neighbor's field. Usually beans look real good. He plants those in 20-inch rows, corn as well. I know they sprayed a little later than we did, and you know the beans are just coming on that burn down, that that burnt look a lot of people do to them. I can't tell you what they sprayed, I don't know, but they usually have a clean field, and they're usually very nice. Well, they are very nice neighbors. So there's some other beans. These are 20-inch beans on 20-inch rows. I have no idea the brand. I think they're planted between May 8th and May 14th, but I'm not sure the date. They look a little thin yet, but they're, like I said, they burned them a little bit about 2 weeks ago, and they're just really coming out of that. Probably do real well. Here's the last field you'll see today for me. These were planted between May 11th and like May 17th. These are champion beans. I don't know if you saw the white flowers in the last one. I find it funny, on the bean, these have little purple flowers, the last ones have a little white. These are Champion 2-8 bean. They're Xtend technology. So far they've been sprayed only with Roundup. We did a burn down with 2,4-D because we weren't sure we wanted to mix the Xtend in one field. There's beans just on the other side, 30, 40 feet from me. There's another field. I don't know if you can see the fence or in the distance. There's beans on 3 sides. These beans look good. They're not quite closed as well as the other Mershmans, but you know what? They seem to have just as many pods or nodules. They look good. So it's a good looking field. There's a few yellow spots where it's a little wet by the waterway, but that's pretty typical. We'll see how these do.